What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Staples. Today we're going to be talking about the barbell bench press. All right, so one of the major upper body pressing movements. We're going to dive into how to perform it correctly and some technique tweaks. 2 points to note right off the get-go. With any type of pressing movement for the upper body, you need to pay special attention to the angle of your elbow. Many times we do flare out our elbow and kind of put the shoulder in a bad position. We always want this tucked to a certain extent to make sure we're using the shoulder in a more efficient way. So number 2, right off the get-go, we're looking at the involvement of the upper back. We don't want any slack in the system. We want the shoulder blades to be retracted for most of the press, just so we have a good base and foundation for it. The shoulders are still going to protract a little bit, but we still should have that retraction for the majority of the movement. So we'll dive right into setting up a bench press. The first thing I usually do is getting that retraction we talked about, squeezing our shoulder blades together and getting a foundation set. After that, we want to move ourselves up or down the bench so that the barbell is directly above our eyes. So with our eyes underneath the barbell, we ensure we're not too close to the J-hooks, so we're hitting it every time we press. Also, that we're not too far away from them, so when we unrack it, we're moving the bar too far away from the rack and wasting more energy. All right, third point to note, just to simplify it, would be your feet position. If you're bench pressing for strength or just trying to remain safe as possible whenever you're doing this movement, you want to have a little bit of leg drive, or at least have your feet planted on the ground. Doesn't mean that your feet have to go back as far as the middle of the bench, creating a huge arch, more intended for powerlifting or maximal strength gains. You just want to have a firm plant on the ground. With this plant, you're still squeezing your glutes and making sure your hips don't rise from the bench. Essentially, from the side view of the bench press, you can kind of see we're trying to develop a little bit of an arch. We're not after a huge arch, especially the low back. That kind of comes naturally whenever we retract the shoulder blades. We're going to have a little bit of extension in the lumbar spine. This isn't the worst thing in the world, but we're not trying to make it more than it should be. Once we have this foundation for the bench press, we're going to unrack the bar by squeezing our armpits and getting that bar right opposite our chest. So during the press, one of the biggest cues that's helped me is thinking about breaking the bar and developing torque through the shoulder joint. This will also help your elbow position fall into the right place. Another big cue, don't think about lowering the bar to yourself, think about pulling it into you controlled. That way we utilize the upper back and we keep that bar traveling in the correct path. With the press, again, if we're after pure strength, we're thinking about driving through the floor, pushing through that arc, and transferring the energy from our feet to our hips to our shoulders into the bar. Again, if you're just after more muscle gains, keep your feet planted and think about contracting your chest as much as it really can. Now, if you're after pure muscle gains with the bench press, you may not want to rely on this movement solely for all of your chest gains. You're kind of fixed into this plane of movement that's very restricted with the straight bar. So diving into the mechanics of the bench, we spoke about having a nice big arch. This might not be possible at a commercial gym when you have a really slippery bench. Good way around this is getting a drawer liner or even a mini band and putting it around the bench just to stick yourself to that. So common pitfalls with the bench press, I think the biggest one is not touching your chest or going all the way down. Could be due from a variety of different reasons, but we'll hone in on 2, starting with tightness in the shoulder and chest, as well as lacking rotation in the shoulder. All right, so ways around the tightness in the chest and shoulder, we won't just say just to stretch it. We want to strengthen the upper back, lower trap, rhomboids, just to get us naturally in that position that'll alleviate the tight tissues in the front. Things like band pull-aparts, face pulls, rear delt flies will help you with this, as well as challenging the shoulders in different positions. All right, so hopefully you guys got something from today's video. Hit me up if you have any more questions, and I'll see you on the next one.